Hey guys, what's up? Here's a mistake I see lots of local business owners make all the time, thinking more followers equals more customers. But if you own a local business, especially a service business, this matters to you. Now, here's the issue, or let me explain the mistake. Followers feel good, likes feel better, and views feel great, but none of these actually contribute to if someone is ready to buy. Explain simply. Followers equal attention, customers equal intent, and attention does not equal intent. Give you an example. A shop with 300 followers can make more money than a shop with 30,000 followers if the right people can find them when they need them. Now, let me give you a real world example. You probably have seen this yourself. A shop posting memes but has no phone number. A business with daily posts but no Google presence. A page that looks active but gets no calls. Now, I see shops like this posting every day on social, but when I Google them, I can't even tell what types of services they offer or how to contact them, which is very interesting for a local business. Now, I will say this. The fix is pretty simple and it's practical. Here's the fix. Stop chasing followers and start building buyer signals. Now, I'm going to give you 3 bullet points. Number 1, make sure your Google business profile clearly understands what you do, or making sure that Google understands what you do. And when you have a Google business profile, there's a way to optimize that, so that way you're sending clear signals to Google. Number 2, make it easy to call and book. Show proof such as reviews, photos, videos of real work in your Google business listing. Now, if someone needs to today and can't find you or can't figure out where to find you, they're going to leave within 10 seconds, right? They're gone. This is a problem. That's why it's so important to make sure that your Google business listing is optimized properly, and also your website, which we'll get into that. Now, the wrap up or the takeaway is, if you remember one thing from this live, remember this, that followers don't pay bills, customers do, right? And so that's the main thing to understand here, that when you have a Google business listing, it's important to post content just like the way you do on social media. You want to make sure that you're adding your reviews, of course, and of course videos, right? And with Google business listing, it's a social media site, just like every other site. I mean, social site out there, but the difference is they want you to be direct, right? They want you to talk about your offers, right? They want you to actually talk about your promotions and your services, right? And so that's that's very important, right? So that's the thing that I wanted to really to mention here tonight, is that from a marketing standpoint, this is like one of the top mistakes that in the end that businesses make. They ultimately think that by having more followers, they have more customers, and that's just not really the case, right? And so again, if you are here or on this live, or if you know someone, local business or an auto repair shop that is posting on social, but they're struggling in Google to actually generate leads and drive more business, this type of training can definitely help them, right? I encourage you to share this live with them. Let them know that this channel, we're all about helping Google business listing and website optimizations, right? So again, and again, I work with lots of local businesses here in Houston, helping them with their website, local SEO, Google Ads, things of that nature. So I see this a lot, right, from that perspective. There's a lot of concern, not concern, but just sometimes confusion in terms of which is the best channel to generate business. They all have their place, and they all have, their tactics and strategies that really make them most effective. But that's the thing that we're talking here about, talking here tonight, that more followers does not equal more customers, right? And so that's the thing that we really want to sort of make sure you understand from a local business perspective. If you own a repair shop, or if you own a local service business, whether it be electrician, plumber, mode remediation, or anything of that nature, right? You want to make sure that you have a good, strong Google business listing and a website that's built out properly that supports it, right? So posting to, right, all the socials, Epic and Facebook and TikTok, all those are important. Right? Again, we're going to review again just what we just covered here, but you want to make sure that your Google business listing has all your important signals, right? Which is again where it's going to be a little different than social, right? And so, for example, just kind of recapping that is tonight we're talking about ultimately, the number one mistake that I see a lot of local businesses make is that they believe that more followers equals more customers, right? And that's not really not the case, right? So again, if you own a local business, or you know someone who owns a local business, right, especially a service-based business, this matters to them, right? And so again, I see this across a lot of different industries, right? I've been doing internet marketing for many years, and I've seen it in all kinds of different industries, right? Again, it feels logical, right? It actually, but it quietly hurts your business. This is one that confuses a lot of business owners, right? Because obviously they're posting on social, they're trying to drive a lot of awareness, but they're neglecting their Google business listing, right? And that's a problem, right? Because ultimately Google drives a lot of business, right? And so this is what we want to talk about tonight, right? Again, explaining the mistake, just kind of recapping that followers feel good, likes feel great, and views feel better, right? But none of these actually means that someone is ready to buy, right? Especially if you're an auto repair shop, or if you're a local business trying to generate leads, right, and trying to drive more revenue. This can be the contradiction, right? And so again, attention is not the same as intent. That's something I found out the hard way, right? You can get a lot of views, right? A lot of activity, but because you're driving awareness, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the type of awareness you're driving actually is the right intent. So most followers are just scrolling. They're not shopping. People follow for entertainment purposes, but they buy when there's a problem, right? So if you're an auto repair shop, right, and you're trying to generate new business, or if you're a local business, right, trying to generate more revenue, that's the big indicator right there. That's the thing that you should be looking at from a lead generation perspective, or just trying to grow your business. That there's a big deal difference between entertaining people and solving people's problems. And so that's something that we discuss on this channel. And so again, followers equal attention, right? But again, attention is passive. It doesn't ask for action. That's to keep in mind. Customers equal intent. Intent means they're actively looking for help, right? That's a big deal. So that's something to just think about. If you're a local business owner, or you're an auto repair shop owner, you're trying to generate revenue, trying to generate leads, right? There's different tactics, right? Of course, and so you have to understand where and how to apply each of these tactics. But the main focus here tonight is, again, if you're on social, you're probably posting and trying to generate awareness. But I can tell you that I've seen a lot of local businesses where they're posting, but when we go look at their Google business profile, it's not being optimized, right? And they're losing out on that, right? So that's the number one mistake that I see a lot of local businesses make, right? Attention does not equal intent, right? And confusing these two causes lots of frustration, right, for you as the owner, and for the customer base, future prospects, right, that are looking for a solution, right? So again, a shop with 300 followers can make more money than a shop that has 30,000 followers if the right people can find them when they need help, right? That's the key, right? Timing ultimately beats popularity every time. Being visible at the right time matters more than being popular all the time. That's the key. And so that's where I want to drive home that, obviously I'm on social media right here, obviously sharing and posting content, just driving awareness, right? That for sure, obviously, right? But at the same time, I have a Google business listing, right, that I have optimized, right? And I post and I put content on there, right? And I have a website that's optimized to rank from a major core keywords, right? Because ultimately I still know that Google drives a lot of high intent searches, right? In terms of people looking for a solution. On social media, right, we do education, we do training, right? We want to, have drive entertainment, right? Drive awareness and those kinds of things for in the future, if in the event that you are a local business owner, or if you are a auto repair shop owner, right? Right now you're just probably scrolling through the feed, or or you're just cruising on Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, etc., and you're just looking for entertainment in between jobs or things of that nature, right? But most people go to Google to actually find a solution, right? And that's where we want to talk about again that in today's live, we're talking about followers do not actually equal customers, right? Right? There's a difference there, right? And so so that's something we want to talk about. And again, just kind of give you a real world example here is that a shop posting memes but has no phone number. I see that a lot, on Facebook, right? Quite frankly, shops and automotive people and other local business posting, right? Memes and things of that nature, but there's really no contact information there, right? Obviously, you have to kind of dig them out a little bit to get to be able to reach them, right? But again, for the most part, right? Typically, people who are looking for a solution for a problem are not necessarily going to be they're in the buying mode on social. You can still run ads. There's still strategies that you can use to capture intent, and then of course build their confidence up, and then they reach out to you, right? There's still a reason for social media, but in terms of just driving high intent searches that actually lead to leads and sales, right? Google My Business Listing is still the best source, right? It's a social media platform, but at the same time, it's really designed around direct sales and really promotion for sure, right? And so here's another example: a business with daily posts but no Google presence, right? That's something I was just mentioning. See that quite a bit, right? And in fact, that's what I do on TikTok, right? I reach out to auto repair shops and that are doing social, right? They're posting, but I can't find their Google listing, or it's poorly optimized, right? They just kind of skip that and they're just doing social, right? I understand running social media and running, Google search, right? Is full-time job in some ways, right? And I know that as a business owner, you're trying to run your business, right? You don't really have a lot of time to try to be everything, right? You want to run your business, right? And you want a professional to take care of the social media and your Google search or Google organic, right? For sure, and driving those organic leads. That's where we come in, right? Again, my name is Armando, and again, I work with lots of local businesses, helping them with their local SEO, website, and social media, and etc. Another thing we see is that a page that looks active but doesn't get no calls, right? That's another thing, right? Activity without results is strongly a warning sign. So again, I'm not saying you shouldn't be posting to social media, Facebook, etc. But again, the type of content you're posting on social media matters, right? Again, if you're posting memes, there's a time to post memes, and then there's also a time to post a problem solution aware type of a post, right? That actually speaks to your customer's core issue, core problem, and how you solve that, right? And then giving them a call to action to reach out to you, so that way you can actually set up a consultation or provide more information on how you can solve it, right? So there's a sequence there, but that's the thing that we see a lot, is that pages that are active but they're really not really driving phone calls, right? Which is a problem. So again, guys, I see a lot of shops posting every day on social, right? But when it comes to Google, or when I Google them, right, I can't tell what services they offer or how to even contact them, right? Which is a problem, right? Again, that's not a content problem, right? It's a clarity problem, right? Things to keep in mind here. They're working hard, but just in the wrong place, right? So that's something also I've noticed as well, right? The effort is there, but the signal is missing, and that's the issue, right? That's the issue. So, it's important that you kind of, if you are a local business owner, or you're an auto repair shop, or plumber, HVAC, or electrician, or etc., right? There's a place for social, right? And then, but of course, last but not least, you want to make sure that you have a strong Google business listing that's fully optimized, ranking in the top 3 positions, and also a website that's structured properly, right? With location pages, service pages, right, and a home page that's themed out to the listings. So that way, and that is properly powered up, right? So that way you can actually get those high intent searches that result into phone calls and email submissions, right? And so here's the fix, right? Again, I'm not saying stop chasing followers, but I am saying start building buyer signals, right? Your Google business listing, and of course, how you use it. And of course, in the Google business listing, they recently, well, not too long ago, they included a section in the listing that allows you to add all your social media links as well. So when people go to your business listing, they can actually see your Facebook, your Instagram, your TikTok, and etc., right? Those kinds of socials. And I think you can also, I need to verify, right? But I think you can also add your Epic link there as well. But with that being said, right, so the whole idea is that buyer signals are things that help people take action, right? That's the thing we want to emphasize here, is that buyer signals are things that help people take action, right? They can be boring for sure, but they work, right? And now, over a period of time, I'm understanding that boring sells, right? They say sex sells, right? But I think boring actually sells too, into the millions. So basically, here are 3 bullet points I'd like to run by you ultimately, or present here. Make sure Google clearly understands what your business does, right? And that's where your website comes into play, and that's where your Google Business Listing comes into play, right? Your services, your location, and your pages, and that your home page is relevant for your core keywords. So, for example, again, if you're an auto repair shop, right, you want keywords on your homepage that say, auto repair shop Houston, right? That kind of thing. What I mean by relevance, right? And so, we want to make sure it's easy to call and book, right? No hunting, no guessing, right? You have a short window, right, to get people to pick up the phone to call you or to submit a form, submit a form, right? 3 seconds, 5 seconds, like that's the average. You want to make sure you're showing proof, your reviews, photos, video of your, real work, what you do on your Google Business Listing is very important, right? People trust what they can see, and that's the issue right there. Having a poorly optimized Google Business Listing ultimately doesn't help you, right? For sure. It doesn't hurt you, but it's strongly not helping you, right? Because you're missing out on high intent searches that lead to phone calls and form submissions, right? So again, if someone needs you today and they can't figure out how to reach you in 10 seconds, they're gone. So again, guys, they don't compare. They just move on, all right? Urgency doesn't wait for perfect branding. And that's the issue right there. So that's something just to keep in mind. So again, with that, so just to kind of wrap up and give you a little bit of a takeaway here. If you remember one thing from this live today, remember this, that followers don't pay bills. Customers do. And those are two different things. You want to focus on being findable, not famous. Now, in terms of, again, being like an auto repair shop or a local business, right? It's more important to be findable than necessarily famous. We want to solve problems, not vanity metrics, right? That's something to really keep in mind when it comes to ranking in the searches, making sure that your Google Business Listing is well optimized. You can post like everything you're doing on social. You can post to your Google listing, a post in terms of like updates, video, right? Your promotions, your offers, your products or services, you want to make sure that it's really fully optimized, right? You have a much better chance of getting ranking for, in the top 3, and in terms of just posting organically on social. It is important, right, for, being discovered from that perspective. But we're not talking about necessarily being discovered. We're talking about solving problems when a person has a solution and they know what they want. They have a problem, they know what the solution is, so now they're looking for a product or a service to solve it, right? And that's where your Google Business Listing really comes into play, right? So again, guys, if this helped in any way, give me a follow. I go live almost every night, every other night around 7 p.m., right? Talking about simple marketing mistakes that local businesses make and how we can help them with fixing it. So again, guys, my name is Armando, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon.